viewers, my name is Ebony. I'm the TSU Snaphead agent, and today we'll be making ratatouille with chicken. So here are our ingredients with this different type of seasoning. Canola oil, we have some oregano, basil, Italian seasoning, a little salt, a little ground pepper. We're going to add some chicken to it, and then you see our colorful vegetables over here. We have zucchini, tomatoes, squash, garlic, onions, and we have a nice eggplant. So let's get started. All right, you want to go ahead, and because we're about to start cutting up our vegetables, so go ahead and preheat the oven on 350. We have that started. Make sure to wash your hands for 20 seconds. Also, make sure to wash off your vegetables with cold water too. Use a paper towel to help clean off the dirt and the residue that's on there. So we have a little small onion that we're gonna chop up again. Make sure you have a good firm grip. Have the bear claws. And sometimes your onions will come up, and that's okay. And you want to make sure you have a good firm solid surface, and then we're going to dice up the onions. You may want them a little smaller, but it just depends on what size you want them. But again, we're just dicing them up. Alright, now we have our garlic, and we're just going to mix that up. And I know you're thinking, hey, they're a little small, so you can use a smaller knife if you want to, and then you can just take your knife and then just go across it, and that'll just help mix it up real small. And then if you want them a little smaller than that, you just keep on going across again. So after you mix the garlic, then we have a tomato. One small tomato, same thing. I cut it in half, as you see, to give it a firm grip to the cutting board. Have a good grip, and then we're just gonna slice and like a little boat motion. And we're just gonna dice that up too, as well as we did the onions. Make sure you have your bear claws for you won't cut it up, and I like to gather them all together, and then I'm able to go across. Alright, next we're going to chop up the squash and the zucchini. So you just want to cut the top off, and we're not going to really dice these. Again, have a good grip, and then we're just going to slice these. And you can slice them however size you want. I like to do them small. So not too small, but if you chop them slice them too thick, then it may take a little longer for them to cook. And then you want to try to make sure that you slice them too all at the same size. Same thing with the zucchini. Cut off the top, and then we're just gonna slice them too. Everyone, now we're gonna cut up our eggplant. As you see, most people don't like to use eggplant because they're like, ooh, what can I do with this? So I already gonna cut off the top part. We're gonna cut it the same way as our zucchini and our squash. And yeah, even though it's a little bigger and a little thicker, you just hold a good grip to it, and you still slice, as you see. And you still don't want to make them too thick, because then that will take a long time for them to cook. And you just slice it up. See how nice and pretty they're coming out. It's gonna look real good with our other vegetables. So if these are a little too big for you, then you can just dice them up, cut them into fours. If you think this is still a little too big, then just dice them up some more, and then you'll have a little smaller portion for your eggplants. Alright, so we have all our vegetables cut up, our eggplant, our squash, our zucchini, our onions, and our garlic too as well. Instead of, if you want to put it in a small bowl, you can, but you can go ahead and put it on a sheet. We're going to use 3 tablespoons of canola oil. If you have vegetable oil, you can use that. If you want to use olive oil, you can use that. Then we have our seasoning over here. We use basil, oregano, little salt, and a little pepper in here. So we're gonna sprinkle that on top. Oh, don't that look so pretty? And so while I'm sprinkling, you can use your hand or a spatula. If the kids like to get dirty, this is a good way to get them involved. Well, this is get dirty in a good way. They get cooking and we're sprinkling on here. And we're mixing all our vegetables up with the seasoning. Oh, doesn't it look pretty, everyone? We get in good and mix up everything. And now that we're gonna mix up everything, then we want to make sure you spread out the vegetables so they can kind of cook evenly. So after you give a good mix and spread it out, and then we're gonna put it in the oven. We already preheated our oven, and you want it in here for 20 minutes. All right, now we're about to start our chicken. We're gonna go ahead and preheat our stove top. So we just have regular little chicken strips. What you want to do is dice them up too as well. Already been cleaned off. So all you're gonna do is take one of them, and we use a different cutting board too as well. If you don't have a different cutting board, you can use the same one. Just make sure you rinse it off, dry it off, and then use it. And just make sure you cut up your vegetables before you cut up your meat. Same thing with the knife too as well. So we're just gonna dice them up too as well. Even though I'm just showing you one just to give you the effect, you can dice them up at the same time. And then it just helps everything cook evenly, and it go great with your vegetables too as well. Then once the stove get hot, then we're gonna place them in, and then I have the same seasoning I use for the vegetable, but I add a little garlic powder in there and onion powder to help season the chicken. We have our meat diced up. Now we have our seasoning. So we just gonna spread it around. Make sure it gets all the meat. And when you touch any type of raw meat, just make sure you wash your hands real good with soap and water once you finish. And make sure that you wash your cutting boards and knife that you use with soap and water too. Now we're gonna put it in our skillet. And I use non-cooking spray to spray the skillet. Then after this cook and get done, then we'll add the tomatoes to it. You hear the sizzling noise? I mean, it's cooking. All right, so our chicken is done. Look at it sizzling. Our vegetables are still cooking in the oven, and we're gonna add the tomatoes, that small tomato that we cut earlier, in with the chicken. We'll let that cook up, and then once the vegetables get done, we're gonna add it all together. All right, so our vegetables are done. Don't they look so good? And so just all you have to do, it doesn't matter how much how you plate it. You can just put it on there. We want to get a good of everything. So I like to put things in the center. We got some onion. We have our zucchini, our squash. And then we're just gonna add the chicken that we're gonna add that on top. You don't have to do too much of it. Now if you wanna cook it with something, maybe some type of grain, you can add some brown rice, that would be good. And then we're gonna add give it a little extra, some Parmesan cheese. Just a little sprinkle. So, I hope you all enjoy the ratatouille with chicken.